Tune in, tune.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Bella La Moda. Today's video is going to be a hair tutorial. I haven't done a hair tutorial as yet, so I'm relatively new to them, but hopefully you will enjoy this one. So in today's hair tutorial, I'm going to be talking about how to get a sleek finish to your hair with it slightly curled under and more voluminous. And to do this, I'm going to be using the Babyliss New Big Hair. It's kind of like a hot air brush almost, except for the fact that it does rotate. So quite noisy when it's on, but you do have two heat settings as well as a cool setting to set your hair. It also has a rotating function like so that you can roll it up and then roll it down. So using this brush, I'm going to show you how to get my hair. You will need to start off with virtually dry hair. I'd say at least 80% dry. Here I'm just adding on some dry shampoo. This is one from Batiste. I like to add on the dry shampoo just to give a bit of extra volume to my hair and also just to give it a bit more of a dirty feel, just so that the curls tend to grip better. With the dry shampoo, I just spray it onto the roots, massage thoroughly into my hair to make sure that there's no powdery residue left over, and then just slightly brush it through. I personally find it easiest to section off my hair, so I start off with the bottom section by tying up the first section with a hair clip. Once the bottom section is pinned up and out of the way, I will then brush through the bottom section thoroughly, just to make sure that there's no knots and nothing that can get tangled up. Now to use the Babyliss Big Hair. So I'll switch this on to the highest heat setting, which is setting number 2, as I find that this holds a better curl for me. It's also quite a good idea now to try and play around with the buttons to see how the rotations work, just so that you don't get it knotted. Now for the tricky part. This will take you several times to get the hang of. I personally had to give it at least 4 attempts before I actually figured out how to even create this style and use it correctly. So here I'm just brushing through with the barrel just to make sure that there definitely aren't any knots that could possibly get caught up. So what I'm doing now is just gently rotating it through the ends. The trick here is to keep the barrel slowly rotating through the ends of your hair. You can put the rotation on from the mid-length of the hair, but I found it easiest to try and focus on the bottoms. The best thing to do here is to try and pull the brush down as you're rotating it through the ends. Once one section is done, you can move on to the next section. Again, I would recommend that you try and keep the sections small so that there's not too much hair for it to grip onto. So again, starting at the root of the hair, you move the brush through the section towards the end of the hair and start to rotate the brush away from your head, almost in an upwards-like motion. At the same time, you will need to be pressing and holding the appropriate rotate button. This creates the shape and movement through the hair to give you the added volume and the nice flick at the end. As you're rotating the brush around, try and resist the motion by pulling downwards with the brush and pulling away with your head. This in turn creates tension through your hair, allowing it to curl. Once you have the hang of how to operate the brush, you can then continue on with the rest of the bottom section. As you can see throughout the bottom section, I don't really focus much of the tension of the brush at the roots of my hair. I'll focus more on this when I come to doing the top section, as this is where the volume will really show. Once the bottom section has all been nicely styled, you can remove the clip and bring down the top section. Again, I would recommend just brushing through just to make sure that there aren't any knots or tangles. The same with the bottom section. Try and segment off the hair into smaller sections that are slightly easier for the brush to grip through and work its way through. As you can see here, it's very easy to get your hair tangled up within the brush, so just be careful of which rotation you're actually pressing. This time around on the top section, I'm working the brush through more of the hair, so rather than working from the mid-length, I'm actually working from the roots to create a bit of extra volume there, but also to work the volume throughout the hair. As you can see, I'm taking my time with this because it really does pay to take more time with it, as you're less likely to get it tangled up and get in a mess. Plus, it's much easier to manage the rotations if you're taking it slower. As you get more confident, you can obviously build up the speed as to which you're curling your hair. I've also found that the hair around the back of my head tends to hold the curl a bit better if I rotate the brush up further and hold it rather than releasing immediately. At the same time, if you would prefer to do this the entire way round, obviously it's whatever works best for you, but I find that a mixture works nicely for my hair. Because of the way my parting and my fringe lies, I find that the right side of my hair tends to look a lot flatter than what the left side does. So I tend to focus more of the rotation of the brush at the roots on the right side, just to give it a bit of extra added volume and try and match the other side. For the maximum volume, you can place the brush at the end of the hair section and allow the brush to rotate the entire way up through the hair section, holding the appropriate rotate button. If you wind the entire hair section around the barrel, this will create more of an intense curl rather than a slight flick at the end. To make your curls and flicks hang around a little bit longer, you can also press the cool button, which will just set the hair in place. Continue working through your hair until all of it is styled and you're happy with the final result. You can go back and add volume over previous sections that you've done just to give them a bit of extra added boost. If, like me, you have a fringe, you'll then want to add some volume to this, just so that it doesn't look flat compared to the rest of your hair. Section off the rest of your hair so you're only left with your fringe out. Again, brush through just to make sure that it is all smooth and there aren't any knots. Personally, I find this the easiest section to work through, as the brush really does work through it really nice and easy and rotates simply, without any knotting. This is the section that I tend to play a little bit more with, and it's definitely somewhere I'd recommend starting off with, just so that you can get the hang of how to use the brush. As you can see here, I'm rotating the brush at a slightly different angle. This is to follow the natural way that my hair lays in my fringe. It also shows the versatility of the brush in that different movements can manipulate the hair in different ways and create a variety of different looks. When you're all finished and happy with your curl in your fringe, you can go ahead and remove the clip. And there you have the finished look. I have just ruffled my fingers through it a little bit just to give it a bit more volume and give it a bit more of a messy look. And finally, just to finish, I like to add on some hairspray just to give it a bit of extra holding power and make sure it all stays put for the rest of the day. My hair tutorial showing you how to use the Babyliss New Big Hair. Obviously, I've just shown you how to use it as a finishing tool for blow drying, but you can use it for a variety of styles to add volume to things like ponytails. You can even use it to curl your hair slightly, and it's also great to add a bit of extra volume to straightened hair. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe below so that you don't miss out on any future videos that I do, but I will be back the same time next Sunday with a new one for you. See you then. Bye!
Tune